Hi CFL fans, raise your hand if you're missing the Labor Day Classic this year. That's what I thought. I'm definitely no exception. It's Labor Day. I should be getting excited to get to McMahon Stadium to cheer on my Calgary Stampeders and say Edmonton sucks. And then, nothing is better than seeing those Jets go overhead at my seat at McMahon Stadium, and I definitely had a few of those on my YouTube channel. However, given what's been going on, just like everything this year, everything's been cancelled. And sadly, we will not be having a Labor Day Classic. There's many elements that, it's been a long time tradition for me to take in the Labor Day Classic at McMahon Stadium. That's my home Labor Day Classic. Since 1995, when I went to my first live Labor Day Classic, this will only be the third time that I will not be at McMahon Stadium this year for the Labor Day Classic. 1996 is because I did not have season tickets yet. I had season tickets since 1997. But I remember, my dad had a friend from high school that took me to a few Stampeder games, and I definitely begged enough that I wanted that ticket to the Labor Day Classic, and it happened. And I would say, of all the Labor Day Classics that I have been to, the first one definitely was the best one. Because it was the best one, and extraordinary things happened. Jeff Garcia stole the show and we beat the Edmonton Eskimos. Oh man, that was definitely my first Labor Day Classic. So that was my first one. And then I missed it in 2001 because I was stuck working. And then this year, for obvious reasons, why the CFL season has been canceled because of, the COVID-19 and banning on events and gatherings. Well, it was coming more apparent that I wasn't going to be catching games at McMahon Stadium or anywhere else in the CFL this year. However, it still would have been nice if it was practical that we could have still at least had a Labor Day Classic, even if it was in the Hub City model in Winnipeg as proposed, and we would still have been battling Edmonton. That's just, showing your civic pride and showing that I'm a proud Calgary Stampeders fan. And Calgary has had a Labor Day winning streak, because since my first Labor Day game up until present, Calgary's definitely won more Labor Day games than lost. And the last time we lost on Labor Day was back in 2011. But, no matter where the teams are in the standings, and you always feel that playoff atmosphere. I mean, Calgary, you could probably say as a Stampeders fan for much of my life, I've definitely been a little spoiled with Grey Cups and being dominant. But there was a few years, especially during the F-Troop days, that we weren't so good in the standings, and Edmonton was one of the top teams in the league, especially when they had Ricky Ray. But all the records get thrown out the window on Labor Day. And also, to give you an idea how serious some fans take Labor Day, well, in 1992, the Calgary Stampeders won the Grey Cup for the first time in 21 years, because they won their second one in 1971, and then they finally won their third in 1992 with Doug Flutie. And the next season, the Calgary Stampeders, Calgary was going to host the Grey Cup game. However, we did not win on Labor Day, and there were some fans that said they weren't renewing their tickets. And the reason why they said they weren't going to renew their tickets to get dips for the Grey Cup game was because, yeah, you won the Grey Cup. That's nice. First time in 21 years. But you didn't win on Labor Day. That's some fans. And we had Doug Flutie, and I think his first Labor Day Classic in Calgary. I think he threw 6 interceptions that game, if I'm not mistaken. But that tells you how serious Labor Day is to many fans. And of course, 1995, my first Labor Day Classic, Doug Flutie was still in the game, but he still had his tendonitis in his elbow, where he dressed the game, and all I remember is that he started the game just to throw Edmonton off. He just handed it off, and then Jeff Garcia took over, and he took over all right. And, Alan Pitts, I think he had 3 touchdowns, and Jeff Garcia, he threw over 500 yards. Extraordinary things happened that Labor Day Classic, and that's was tough to top that for my first. I know I talked about my Labor Day Classics a couple years ago if you go to person blog number 4 where I shared my experiences, but we've had a few more, but it's just the playoff atmosphere, the rivalry. Yeah, I'm a proud Calgarian, and I'm pro Calgary and anti Edmonton, but even then, I still like being around Edmonton fans, even with the playful rivalry, even for Grey Cups and that as well. You all get it. You're all good Edmonton fans, but we just still like to beat you on Labor Day. And then the Labor Day rematch, which now when they've scheduled the game on Saturday since 2014, it makes it easier for me to pack my red and make my way up to QE2 to hopefully, after we win on Labor Day, win the rematch game on Saturday. Nothing is more satisfying than being at Calgary Stadium in your red, cheering on the Calgary Stampeders. I would say the ultimate of that was the 106th Grey Cup in 2018, where Calgary won the Grey Cup in Calgary Stadium, but everything lined up for that. But unfortunately, we're going to miss all that because, you always get the tailgate and it's tradition. I mean, I've had season tickets. Well, this would have been my 24th season, and it's just the camaraderie, the rivalry, and the fact that 4 years ago, you might say I'm a little crazy, but I went to 2 Labor Day games. As back in 2016, Saskatchewan was going to move into their new Mosaic Stadium for the 2017 season. Even though I despise the Rough Riders and the fans, and especially when they come in our house and cheer on green, where I would say I probably get more amped up for Saskatchewan games just because of that rivalry. But I still had to catch games in the old Mosaic Stadium, so I made a weekend trip to Saskatchewan, and I went to the game in Saskatchewan in 2016 for the Calgary or Saskatchewan-Winnipeg rivalry. That's the warm-up game for me before Monday, and it was definitely awesome to catch that live, and that game definitely came down to the wire. And I think Blue Bomber fans want me to do that trip more often, because I did share that moment when Justin Medlock kicked the winning field goal in Saskatchewan, and that was the first time I think Winnipeg won in Saskatchewan on Labor Day Sunday in 12 years, and I don't think Winnipeg has won in Saskatchewan on Labor Day. I know Winnipeg won their first game in the new stadium when Saskatchewan had their home opener, but it's extra special when it comes to Labor Day, and that same hatred and rivalry with that I experienced with Calgary and Edmonton also happens with Saskatchewan and Winnipeg too. That definitely was an atmosphere as well, and I definitely, one year I want to do it because I want to do that now in the new stadium. Of course, I still got to wear some red because it's my team, and even when I go on the road, even if we're not playing, I'm a CFL fan overall, but Calgary's my team. But it's the same atmosphere, same rivalry. The Jets flying over. The extra playoff atmosphere, that playoff records just for that game. You throw it out the door. You could probably say the same in Ontario. I mean, it's too far, east for me to be able to do that. I mean, the technology's not possible yet, where I can be at Tim Hortons Field to catch the Tiger Cats and Argonauts, and then go to McMahon Stadium to be at my home Labor Day game. Until that's possible, where I could do that without missing any action, I guess I'm going to have to always settle for the Labor Day game in Calgary. But I'm sure it's the same thing in Ontario, and I'm sure my fellow CFL fans who either cheer for the Argonauts or the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they're probably feeling the same thing that I'm feeling. It just not feel right. And then, Ottawa and Montreal, you could say they also have a traditional rivalry. I know BC's kind of left out, but, if the Atlantic Schooners ever get a team, BC and Atlantic, they can have the coast-to-coast rivalry, and then we can have a perfect Labor Day Classics nationwide. But there's still a lot of work to be done, but I'm just missing it all this year. I mean, the rivalry, the tailgating, and just the extra special atmosphere that you get. It does feel like a playoff game. I would say it's my favorite week in the CFL regular season. CFL playoffs and Grey Cup, obviously, is my favorite, and obviously I'm going to miss that too this season. Once we get to November, I'm sure I'll make a video on that, being sad that there's no Grey Cup, but I'm definitely feeling it right now that there's no Labor Day Classic this year, and hopefully be back at it next year. It'll definitely be extra special to be back in it again. Whatever Edmonton wants to call their team now, I mean, I can understand the ruling why they changed the name, but you got to wonder what Edmonton's going to be called, but whatever it is. And I've also seen those T-shirts. I think it was Molson Canadian. I've seen it on both sides. Is that there's three certainties in life. It said death, taxes, and then here in Calgary it said Edmonton sucks. Well, I've seen it on the other way around, which also you always get that experience when you head up to Edmonton. That I always think, I thought we just hate Edmonton. And then you go up to Edmonton and then you realize they hate us just as much there. Yeah, because I'm used to, the visiting team gets you up first. We boo Edmonton and then we really cheer for Calgary. But then when I go up to Edmonton, I'm like, what? They hate us up there? But I did see that T-shirt in Edmonton where it said death, taxes, Calgary sucks. But it's what's unique. I mean, I know that's we're all known to be polite and kind. Although when it's with each other, we take our sports seriously, especially when it comes to sports. Labor Day and the CFL, and of course, Stanley Cup and hockey rivalries as well. I mean, it's hard to pick what's Canada's team because our country is just so far and wide and diverse and spread out that there just isn't quite one team that would ever totally unite Canada. I mean, some people say that Saskatchewan's Canada's team, and yeah, they definitely have a devoted fan base, and there's fans everywhere. I know that the Saskatchewan Roughriders had commercials where they say we're represented everywhere, but it hurts when I watch Saskatchewan win the Grey Cup just as much as Edmonton as well. So there's never going to be that one team that everyone's going to be happy. Same with if Canada ever wins the Stanley Cup, a Canadian-based team ever wins the Stanley Cup, because there's going to be one fan base that won't like it as much, but we'll worry about that then. So I'll just say, all CFL fans out there, I'm feeling with you that we're not going to have any Labor Day Classics this year, even as much as we always like to proudly cheer for our team, and Calgary's always my team, and we always wear our black and outlaw jerseys, and that was the shock back in 1994 when Calgary brought them out for the first time, and that kind of was that 90s trend that continued. But even when I'm around Edmonton fans, I'm still okay with it. As long as it's all within reason, I can always get along with Edmonton fans and get along with the rivalry. Especially when I go up in your house cheering on the Stampeders on the rematch. But we're going to miss that this year. So what do you feel, CFL fans, Calgary Stampeder fans, or other teams that you cheer for this particular weekend? So if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, Home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, you know what you need to do. Just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also do personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and also do share my experience at I'm on the road or at a sport event. Let's say, for example, on Labor Day, and I've gotten the habit the last couple of years that I capture the whole, ceremonies, pregame ceremonies, the introduction, and of course the jets flying over McMahon, and where I sit on the east side of the stadium, I definitely get a nice rush of that, seeing it where it goes over, especially being up where I sit. So sadly there won't be any 2020 version of it this year. I mean, I'm sure you all understand why, but that's what it is, and hopefully I'll be back doing it in 2021, cheering on Calgary and booing Edmonton like I always do. So as I say, go Stamps go, and I'll see you in the next video.